is Diego, and today I'm going to talk about GUI and event-driven program. So let's get started. First, let's talk what a GUI widget is. A GUI widget is an element of a graphical user interface, the GUI, which allows interaction between the user and the application. In Java, widgets are used to build user interfaces for desktop applications or applications with complex graphical interfaces. A widget can be a button or a text box that responds to the user's actions, such as clicking or a text input. Here we can see an example of the widget, which would be the button, and the text box, where we can put whatever we want. Now I'm gonna explain how to change the color of a widget. So we can change the color of components like a JButton, a JLabel, and JPanel by using the methods setBackground or setForeground. So basically what it does is that it takes a color object as a parameter, and we can use predefined colors from the color class. Like in this example, I'm using the color.blue, which is gonna set the background color blue. And for the foreground, I'm using the color.red. Of course, it's gonna change the color of the text to red. But we can also use custom color. We can create a custom color using the new color method. And this is gonna take RGB values. We can see that it is gonna take the parameters as like the alignment. So here we can put any of the constants. It is gonna take a horizontal gap and a vertical gap. So in this example right here, I'm using a flow layout manager constructor, and for my parameters, I'm gonna put the constant the flow layout left, which is gonna put or align the components to the left. I'm doing a 20 pixel horizontal gap and a 1 pixel vertical gap. So here is the outcome. As we can see, it is kind of aligned to the left, and since button 1 was the first one added, it is gonna be first. And we can also see that it has like it is more, there's a bigger gap horizontally than vertically. And since the button 3 doesn't fit on the first row, it is gonna be passed to the next one. Okay, now let's talk about the grid layout manager. So the grid layout manager is used to arrange components within a container in a rectangular grid format. It divides the container into equal size rectangles with one component placed in each rectangle. This layout ensures that all components are uniformly sized and organized in rows and columns. By default, the grid layout creates a grid of one column per component in a single row, and we can do that using the following format for the method, or like the constructor right here. But we also can specify the number of rows and columns, as well, just like the number of pixel gaps between components, both horizontally and vertically. And this is like how we're gonna do it. It's pretty similar to the flow layout, but here we're gonna put the number of rows first, then the number of columns, followed by the number of pixels for the horizontal gap, and finally the vertical gap. In this example, I'm creating a grid layout with 2 rows and 3 columns with 10 pixels of horizontal gap and 15 pixels of vertical gap. I'm also using a for loop to create the buttons, and this is how it would look. As we can see, all these six rectangles have the same size, and it has indeed 2 rows and 3 columns. Border layout manager. The border layout divides a container into 5 regions. These regions are known as north, south, east, west, and center. Each region may contain one component only. When a component is added to a region, the component is stretched so it fills up the entire region. We can specify which region we want our component to be placed in using one of the following constants. So the syntax is going to be border layout that followed by whatever region that we want to our component to be placed in, but with capital letters. Creating a border layout manager, and it is gonna have a 10 pixel horizontal and vertical gap. Here as I'm adding the button to the frame, as you can see, I'm initializing the button inside the add method, but next to it I'm also putting the constant which indicates in which position I want to set the button in. So to help me with, I'm gonna put each button the name that with the location I'm assigning it with, and here is the final result. As you can see, the buttons is stretched so it can fill up the entire region. And yeah, we have the north, south, west, east, and center. Manager follows some rules when it comes to resizing components, such as a component that is placed in the north and south regions may be resized horizontally so it fills up the entire region. And a component that is placed in the west and east region may be resized vertically so it fills up the entire region. And a component that is placed in the center may be resized both vertically and horizontally. Let's change the state of a widget based on event trigger by a different widget. So first what I'm gonna do is create a checkbox which is called enable button. Then I'm gonna create a button with that has the displayed button text. It is initially it is gonna be disabled. That's because I'm using the set enabled method and making it false. Now I'm gonna add an action listener to the checkbox to handle the state change events. So here in the action perform block, I'm gonna use an if statement to check if the box is selected. If the checkbox is selected, it enables the button and changes the text. As we can see here, I'm adding the button and also I'm calling a method, which is the set enabled and set text. And else, using the else statement, if the checkbox isn't checked, now it goes back to as it was before.